All right, welcome to the third review, fourth video of the evening, final production that we have to get through for this session. Up this time is Fire Shark. So Fire Shark, this is a return for us to the world of Toaplan shmups. If you recall, last year we covered a few of those. And Fire Shark here is their riff off of 1943, I want to say.
One of those. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's one of the later 1940X games at that, because this is actually the second one of these that Toaplan developed. This is a sequel to 1987's Flying Shark. So obviously it's going to be a bit more sophisticated than the previous title. And indeed, that the particular sophistication has got me ruminating on the nature of shmups. In that, how to tackle this particular title. Because, okay, the firepower here is what differentiates this game from other shmups, because otherwise it's a very good shmup, but it's a very typical shmup of the era. It's vertically scrolling, you've got three kinds of power-ups, you've got bombs, you've got a few lives, it's hard as nails. Every kind of trope you could think of is here. So the question becomes, what makes this game stand apart from other games? And unlike zeroing, the answer is means. This game doesn't have that to its name, or something like Hellfire, which is doing something actually interesting with its firepower, but we haven't covered that game.
Yes.
In the case of right. In the case of Fire Shark here, well, you might have seen it in the attract screen, but it's that full clearing flamethrower. That screen clearing flamethrower that actually takes a while to get. Like the power-up system is quite elaborate for a shmup. In that, I don't remember exactly how many bars it is to get the full suite, to get the full upgrade, but it took me I want to say level 3, level 4, something like that, before it happened. But it's important because when you get to the top shelf, the firepower, not just the flamethrower, but I'm honestly not sure what to call the green bullets, and the spread shot, the blue, they all become pretty overwhelming. Some of the most overwhelming shmup weaponry I've ever seen. Especially since, I've been thinking about it, it's like if you were transposing weapons from a shmup that came out in, say, 1999, your, Mars Matrixes and Giga Wings and Einhanders and something much more bullet helly, and put it into what we would conceive as a normal shmup. And the results are pretty devastating to the enemy forces. Now, does that make this an easy game? By no means.
It's so weird you have powerful weaponry and decide to kick your ass for it.
Right. At certain points, because I'll note on Wikipedia here, it says that this game is renowned for its difficulty. I don't know. I found the difficulty curve to be weird in that it actually curved up and down. But like a good example I can think of is level 8. That was markedly more easy than level 7 or level 9. Like they actually gave me a breather level, which is very unusual for a shmup, especially an arcade shmup. You know, like it wasn't a cakewalk, but it was definitely a lot easier than what came before and what came after. And a lot of it has to do with the weaponry. And just in general, like I didn't find this game as difficult as, say, Zero Wing, or or Truxton for that matter. Once again, it's not easy, but in terms of what we've covered on the program here, it's easier than what we've reviewed. Not that it matters all that much, because the standard Toaplan suite of features in accessibility are here. That is, you can slow the game, you can rewind, you can fast forward, and you can even reset with the triggers and bumpers. So, it's not an impossible feat to 1cc this game. In terms that the achievement system will recognize. Like, I got the 1cc achievement even though I use the rewind and slow down feature pretty judiciously. Certainly not as much as other shmups. And I think the flamethrower is the signature weapon of this game. It's the one that certainly stands out the most because the spread shots, even the green bullets, it's weaponry we've seen in other shmups. This feels like something that would be more prevalent in the 90s. As things continue to evolve in this space. Like, this is kind of a missing link between, the shmups of the past and the shmups that would come after. Outside of that, I'm guessing this is one of Toaplan's more popular efforts. It was popular enough where it got a Sega Genesis version. And I want to specify a Sega Genesis version, not just a Mega Drive port, because North America actually saw US. Yeah, North America actually saw this on the Genesis. Whereas, like, Zero Wing and some other Toaplan shooters only saw release in Europe and Japan. Granted, that part of that seemed to be since Toaplan was a publisher only in those territories for whatever reason. But it is significant to note that, North American Genesis players could play this. Not sure how that turned out because I never played this on the Genesis. Though I presume it worked out well enough. I know Classic Game Room back in the day was a huge fan of it, but that show was a fan of anything that was put out by Toaplan. Mm-hmm. So, I'll be honest, I don't find that show to be a great barometer to overall quality.
Especially because it seemed like that was kind of getting to be part of the meme.
Right. I mean, that's the show that provided the second Toaplan shmup meme, and that was over Truxton. Fire Shark doesn't have any of that kind of legacy, but it's still it's still pretty good. In terms of pricing, once again, it's standard Toaplan on Steam pricing, which is say $8. Purchasing this alone, ultimately, I don't think this game has a distinct enough hook or personality to recommend it as a standalone purchase. I know this game has its fans, but it's just like, outside of the flamethrower here, this game just did not stand out for me.
Like, we finally have the flamethrower.
Yeah, like, outside of this flamethrower here, what really separates this from one of the 1940X games? I'm legitimately asking.
Visually, not a whole heck of a lot. Also, do not question too much how this biplane is carrying that level of firepower.
Oh, yeah. So I'm well past that. Yeah. Anyway, so this is contained in the Total Plan Arcade Shoot 'em Ups 2 bundle, which also contains the prequel Flying Shark, Hellfire, and Slap Fights. I played Flying Shark. It's definitely a less refined version of this. Hellfire is the most interesting of what I played here. That's mainly because it's doing a riff of R-Type, and is a lot more strategic than your average shmup because it's got its own riff on the bits from R-Type. But more on that if we ever cover Hellfire. Slapfight I haven't touched yet, but ultimately I would recommend getting the bundle here, which is at $20. And there's also the Total Plan Psycho collection. Can't really speak to that. And the Ultimate collection, which is $70. The Total Plan Psycho collection is $134. That's well beyond the scope of this review. But yeah, ultimately, this is a very 7 out of 10 shmup. Really good, but outside of the flamethrower, I would struggle to remember it. That's what it comes down to. Solid, but mostly utilitarian. And this kind of firepower can be seen in other shmups that came in the 90s and later. So it's not even that distinctive of a feature. I just want to make it clear, I'm not bashing the game. It's just, sometimes things can be utilitarian to a point. Petty, you've been playing the game. Anything you want to add to the conversation?
Not really. I think I might have played the original Fire Shark back in the day, when I rented it. When we had a place where you could rent Genesis games here.
Right.
Because I remember playing a lot of scrolling shooters because, again, Genesis kid.
Right.
So I may have played the original of this, but it's also been, 20 plus years at this point.
Right. Yeah, I get you.
And it wasn't one of those ones I felt I needed to purchase.
Yeah. It's like I may have played Super EDF back in the day, but I wouldn't remember. Mm-hmm. That kind of deal.
I guess, price-wise, how does this compare to, getting the actual Genesis part? I don't know if this
probably
is...
favorably.
Sometimes, yes, but there are some Genesis carts that are still only $5 now, just because they have the digital releases.
Well, let me, once again, it was a favorite of Classic Game Room, and they tended to bump up the price of games. So let me check on that. Genesis. No, I need prices, not just gameplay. Live research.
Yep.
Always fun when it happens. eBay. Okay, apparently prices from $35.88 to $2,000. I'm guessing that's a price.
I'm assuming that's fully complete in box for the $2,000.
Yeah, like here's a complete in box being asked for $650.
Damn.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes sense. The game's what, 30 years old?
Something like that. Let me check price charting. Loose price $30, complete price $70, new price $166, rated price $183, box only price $26.99, manual only $30 on the dot. So, yeah, it's kind of pricey, but that's kind of what I expected.
Yeah. This is definitely the superior way to get this, especially. I don't know where my Genesis pad is, because I have a USB Genesis controller, so I don't know if that will work with this.
Probably not, because it's using a fair bit more buttons than what the Genesis controller has.
Fair
Remember,
enough.
it's got the rewind and fast forward and all that stuff integrated at the base level.
That's valid.
So, now, I think, like, from what I've heard, this is inferior to the Switch versions of these games, which were done by M2. I think that's just by virtue of M2 being in a masterclass of classic porting. I mean, they've been doing this for literally decades, whereas Bitwave, relative newcomer to the scene.
Yeah, and looks like just by the aspect ratio of this probably wouldn't play well on something like a Steam Deck. It says compatible, but
yeah, like it wouldn't go over great. This is definitely something that would play better on the dimensionality of the Switch, and also the Switch has accessories specifically in mind for shmups and tate mode. Like the flip grips or whatever they're called.
Yeah, or like I was mentioning in the pre-review, I wish that my new monitor stand was a little bit taller because I could put that in tate mode and play this as it was intended to be played.
Right. Still, this is a fine effort, and it comes packaged with some other Toaplan greats. Just don't really have much more to say about it.
It's a fine game.
Yeah.
Definitely at the $8 asking price, it's worth looking at. Yeah. Oh, it also has the international ROMs if you're into that. I did not notice that.
Right. Which is always important.
Well, specifically for this era, because usually, like, the Japanese ROMs on some games have different music fonts and whatnot.
Yeah, different difficulty switches and such.
Yes. So it is nice when those are included.
Yes. Anyway, still a pretty worthwhile purchase in terms of old school shmups goes. So, yeah, I think that'll about do it for this installment of the Fragments of Silicon reviews. So, coming up on the week ahead, on March 12th, we'll be welcoming Tisa Foster of Ponderosa Games. This is a bit of a rarity for our program, as we're going to be talking to a mobile developer, as they are the creators of the game Catchagrams, out now on iOS and Android platforms.
So I guess I have something to look at.
Yes. I mean, the game is completely free to play, so it's just a matter of hooking up your Android phone to your apparatus there.
I don't have a way to do that.
Well, I mean, there's still a few days to...
There is not a way to do that. Not
or you
anymore.
Can figure out how to... there's a way to do that with the Google Play Store, like on PC, I think.
No, I would need a Chromebook to play Android apps. They removed the ability to play Android apps in Windows.
Oh, fucking hell.
I know. I wasn't a fan of that either.
Yeah. Well, that's unfortunate. Well,
At least there is trailer footage.
yeah. I mean, maybe a solution is out there. I have no idea. But anyway, we do have a Friday show planned for this week. Been a while, but on Friday we will be having Chris of Thumb Cramp Games. I know a bit of an unusual name there, but it's weirder. Anyway, he is the creator of the PvP focused tank game Thumb Tanks. Kind of a modern riff of the old Atari game Combat, or at least the tanks portion of that. I'm like, there is a demo, but I'm not sure how much you'll have there to play. I asked for a copy of this game, and I was dissuaded from asking about that because it's so PvP heavy.
Mm.
So probably just gonna want to use trailer footage for this one as well, Petty.
Fair enough.
Like,
At least
also
they're
we
upfront
do
about
have
it.
a new episode of MSP planned. Hopefully Max gotten things sorted out with Uber. Like, I guess we'll find out on Wednesday. So until next time, I shall wish you good gaming.